We all know that imposing tariffs is a really bad idea. It's a bad economic plan because imposing tariffs is going to make goods much more expensive for Americans, and it's inflationary. What Trump's advantage is that foreign leaders think he's not entirely rational. In fact, they think he's a little bit crazy. So they're concerned that even though it makes no sense to impose tariffs, he might do it anyway. So this is a really good and interesting negotiating advantage for President Trump, namely that they think he's crazy enough to do it.
Now, regarding these warnings, do you see them as purely strategic leverage to secure better trade terms, or is there a deeper agenda?
No, the agenda is simply that Trump wants to equalize trade and will threaten with tariffs or any other means at his disposal. If he were perceived as a more rational leader, like some other presidents in the past, uh, his adversaries, the heads of these European governments, wouldn't be as worried. But as I mentioned, he's not perceived as being entirely rational. So they believe he will carry through on these threats, which enhances Trump's bargaining position. And he is, in fact, using this strategically.
Now, looking at the wider picture, what are the potential implications of these warnings on U.S. European Union trade relations?
They'll eventually be worked out by the trade negotiator that President appoints in his administration. This means that at some point they will be required to come to an agreement on trade that works for both sides. And I expect that the massive threat of tariffs, the broad-based threat of tariffs on just about everything, will not come to pass.
Now, delving into the European Union's position, how could the European Union manage its transition away from Russian energy while balancing Trump's demands?
Well, I mean, to do what, frankly, Trump is asking them to do, and that's to diversify their sources of purchases of oil and gas. The U.S. is the largest producer of oil in the world now, and we have surpluses that are available to purchase.
And how do you evaluate the European Union's initial response to these warnings?
Meaning, well, of course, they're taking the position that, we're going to have a fight. If you do this, we'll retaliate with that. But this is all part of a negotiating strategy. And this goes on for a long time and has gone on for a long time, for years. As I mentioned, the big difference here is that people take Trump seriously when he makes outrageous demands because they think he is crazy enough to do them. So this is what you have to worry about. But in the end, uh, the wiser heads will prevail, and there will be some sort of an agreement. And Trump has somewhat of an advantage in negotiating for the reasons we discussed.
Now, moving forward from your point of view, what steps can the European Union take to strengthen its negotiating position against a potentially protectionist U.S. administration?
Yes, so that is a question. Obviously, you'll have to ask them as to what their strategy would be if Trump doesn't relent. But that is not what I think is going to happen. What I think is going to happen is that we will get a resolution on trade. It will take some time. There may be some tariff impositions in the meantime, but these will be worked out. Today, the biggest problem in the United States is not tariffs. It's the fact that at the end of, in a few hours from now, the government may have to shut down because Congress has not passed a debt ceiling bill. But that's what's going on here in the United States today.
Lastly, Mr. Peter, and building on what you said, could this situation escalate into a full-scale trade war, or do you think both sides will prioritize negotiation over confrontation?
Yeah, I think you basically answered the question, and that is that it will not escalate into a full-blown trade war because the cooler heads will prevail, and at some point there will be a resolution on trade. Keep in mind that this happened a bit during Trump's first administration a few years ago. And in the end, we ended up with trade deals with our various partners. And that is more likely the scenario that we'll see this time as well.